Good afternoon, Your Excellency Professor Tahir Mamman, SAN, and welcome to Qatar.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Victor. It's my pleasure to be with you.
It's nice having you, sir.
Thank you.
All right. Talking about Qatar and Nigeria, the president was here in March, and a lot of agreements were reached, memorandum of understandings were signed, and so many activities took place during the president's visit. Sir, can you please elaborate some of the things that happened as a result of his visit in your department, your ministry, regarding education?
Well, as you know, our president is very keen on internationalization and working together with the rest of the world to fast-track the development of Nigeria. And as you would expect, education was one of the key areas where some of the discussions took place. And since then, at that time, I also came as a follow-up to the conversation that took place at that time. And since then, we've continued with discussing and firming up the policy for implementation in Nigeria, which centers essentially on the support of the Qatari government through the Qatari Foundation and through education above all outfit to support out-of-school children in Nigeria in a number of states. And we are about to conclude the MOU and the specific MOU in that respect. And the Qatari Foundation and working with the education above all have been able to not only mobilize interventions by themselves, but also coordinated other multilateral and bilateral development partners for this purpose. And so it's been a very, very productive visit as far as we are concerned in education. And we also like the drive and the support which the Qatari officials, especially through the education above all, have demonstrated to ensuring that this project works out. So that's still what we are here for today. Part of it, but also essentially this year the Qatari government is hosting the 5th United Nations Conference on Protection on it against attack on education, and which is taking place tomorrow. It is hosting very high-profile officials, heads of state, first ladies, and ministers from many countries. And the president wanted to be here, but because of several engagements, he directed the Minister of Education represents him at this very important event. So that's what we're here for.
Thank you, Your Excellency. Talking about the education above all and the Reach Out of School Children project, if I'm not mistaken, you are here in May, all right?
Sure.
To have an engagement with the education above all regarding that.
Sure.
And from my understanding, the pilot project is starting in Kaduna State, right? With the targeting at least 100,000 out of school children to return back to the classroom. So can you walk us through this particular initiative, what has happened between now and May, the aims and objectives, and the future projection of this project, and how it stands to benefit not just Nigeria, but the region as well?
Well, to the best of my knowledge, the Qatari government, through the Qatari Foundation, is also operating in Borno State through education, emergency, and conflict affected places. So they've been operating there. But the one that we're working on at the moment is the one for out-of-school children in Kaduna State, and possibly additional states. That's also part of the discussion that we are having on the table. And when you have bilateral arrangement, it requires a framework. It requires some understandings for implementation. And that's what we've been working on. I was here in May And this time around, we're here for this United Nations thing, but we're also taking advantage of this visit to also have a meeting on how to take it forward. And before I came, we were able to do a lot of work on the draft MOU for this purpose. So it is my belief that by the time we have the meeting today and we return back to Nigeria, it will be long before we conclude on the MOU. And after that, they will now come in and work with the Kaduna State, that is at the forefront, and then any additional states that will be applicable with them. So it's a very robust intervention, and we're very happy about it. And I believe the initial target number is 100,000, but I really see the possibility of having more beneficiary numbers and out of the relationship.
Thank you, Your Excellency. Still on the subject matter, does the project also involve probably infrastructure in terms of schools, construction of schools, facilitating employment of teachers and all that? Or could you just elaborate more on what is expected or what the project is, hopefully going to deliver?
The modality involves certainly supporting teacher and trainer development. That's what we deliver on those things. And then supporting infrastructure of the institutions where some of these trainings will take place. And where some informal training facilities have to be provided, there will be, because in some situations you don't need a formal schools, they have to reach areas and that sort of thing. So all these facilities will be provided so that there will be convenience, and enabling environment and facilities for training to take place. And then it will also involve, I believe, providing some skills, some facilities for training the students, because what is envisaged is equipping trainees with some kind of skills and traits that will now enable them to simply go out and stand by themselves rather than even going into employment. But once you have traits and skills, you don't have to go into salary employment. That is actually our preferred window, because the employers have a limited number. But once you train people, if you have 100,000, 200,000 people trained in various skills, they become their own employer. So for me, that's really a better window. So that's the kind of thing that the fund would provide for.
Thank you, Your Excellency. Now, away from the education above all and out of school children and primary and basic education now to tertiary, Qatar is home to some of the world's best tertiary institutions.
Sure.
Qatar Foundation has about, if I'm not mistaken, about 9 or 10 international universities under them. And then there are a couple of other tertiary institutions, global tertiary institutions that have presence in Qatar. And then Qatar universities, they are ranked among the best in the region and has its own place in the world. Are there any plans to either partner or collaborate or see how the Qatar could be of help to the Nigerian tertiary education systems, either the universities or polytechnics or anyway? Is there any plan along that direction in terms of partnership or collaboration in one area?
Oh, certainly. During the visit we had in May, we had meetings with various stakeholders in that sector you mentioned, and we were looking at the possibility of institutional collaborations. We were looking at the possibility of researchers working together, and we were looking at even students exchanges, or some of our scholars coming here for sabbatical. So these are all some of the areas that we will discuss at that time, and it is still on the table. But we don't want to overcrowd the table. So immediately we are done with this, we are going to take a ban. Actually, I even had a meeting with the Minister for Education at that time here. These are some of the issues that we discussed. And, I remember some of the key players actually in this sector. We had very, very good meetings with them. So we are carrying that forward as well. One of the things that this present government, under the leadership of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, is the internationalization of the tertiary education in Nigeria. Two things can happen. Institutions or renowned universities in the world can go to Nigeria, set up universities or tertiary institutions solely owned by them, or work with existing universities and institutions, set up funds or programs, and by which, if we are lucky, we are able to get that. You see, we'll be able to save foreign exchange. We'll be able to also be a basis for elevating standards of education in Nigeria. And then our students really can have quality international education without at the convenience of their own, within the convenience of their own country. So it's the Asian and Gulf states have benefited immensely from internationalization in the last 20 years, where you have world-renowned institutions going over to set up campuses and institutions in their countries. But we missed out on that for some time. Now is our opportunity for that. Because you don't bottle up knowledge and ideas. It was a mistake in the past. People go to anywhere in the world. And so if there are people who, if you open up your doors, provide the necessary environment, people bring all those standards to your country. So this is some of the things that we are doing through the transnational education, which we have already approved the guidelines for.
Yeah. Thank you, Your Excellency.